Hi, I'm Drew Ricciardi, founder of the Monkey Body Method and creator of the Monkey Body Method Therapeutic Movement Mastery Program. So I thought, as a way for us to get to know one another, that I'd take you through a little flow, a little progression of how we begin to learn to decompress our spine, our hips, and our shoulders. For this progression, the one prop we'll need is a strap. If you don't have one of those handy, which I would imagine most people don't, we can take a flat bed sheet. So this is just a flat queen size bed sheet. We take the corner here. We'll tie a knot in one end. And we'll take this knot, we'll throw it over the door, and we're going to put it on the hinge side of the door, and you're going to push the door shut or pull that door closed. It's ideal if you can pull the door closed into it, because then you have a more kind of secure hold in that door to use this as a rope that you can just hang off a little bit with your body weight to kind of help stabilize you and help you to balance. But if you're pushing it closed, just make sure it's closed really tight, that the lock set connects, and that maybe you can even lock the door as well, just for safety. So we're going to, after setting that strap up, we're going to come onto the floor. And first we're going to do our rocking exercise. So what makes the monkey body different from sort of traditional movement practices? Pilates, gyrotonic, some Feldenkrais work I was trained in, any sort of physical therapy exercises that I've ever been given. It's not linear work. So, we're not moving just in the sagittal, coronal, transverse planes. This is work that really serves to kind of challenge every part of the body in 360 degrees against gravity. So the first two exercises we'll be doing, the rocking and the first of the 4 mashing drills and rolling, they really help to illustrate this idea of weight shift against gravity. What will eventually turn into rolling across the floor in, a couple revolutions at a time that I cue with you, we'll progress into it. We first start in fetal position, because that's where we always start as humans, as babies, right? So we'll take one knee to chest, other knee to chest. Each hand gets a knee. I'm going to cue this in your body so we can sort of move in mirrors to each other. You're just going to imagine when you look at me like we're looking in the mirror, okay? So you're going to take your left knee, and I want you to imagine that left knee just pushes straight down and it turns your body a little bit to the right. So we're looking at one another. And then we're going to take your right knee and we're just going to push it straight down. And we're going to go through center all the way through to your left side. I want you to have wide elbows. You're going to keep those knees pulling in to about hip width apart as we push that left knee down and away. And we roll towards one another. We're going to take a breath into that right side of the body in the floor. Exhaling as that right knee pushes away. Left knee falls in and up. We take a breath into that left kidney, that left body in the floor. Exhaling as left knee pushes away. Right knee falls in and up. Take a big breath into that right kidney. Exhaling as right knee pushes away. Left knee falls in and up. Big breath into that left side, into the floor. And exhaling as we come back to center. If you're noticing that it's difficult for your head to come to the floor, you can always have your hands behind your knees as well. So just to review that, we'll have left knee pushes away as the right pulls in and up. We breathe into the floor. Exhaling as right knee pushes away. Left hand pulls in and up. We breathe into that left side. And exhaling. One more set As that left knee pushes away, we breathe into the floor. And exhaling as the right pushes us back to center. We'll have one foot down, other foot down, one leg long, other leg long, and we'll just feel that. I want you to just notice your contact with the floor. We're going to then take this through to our first mashing drill. So these 4 mashing drills are in preparation to what will become full rolling across the floor. And they also serve to release our major sort of junctions of our spine, which I think of as our hips and our shoulders. So in this first mashing drill, we call the mermaid mashing drill because it's modeled after sort of a Pilates idea where the legs end up in kind of a Z interlocking. As you come to your side, you're really serving to mash out the majority of your glutes, those big butt muscles that help to kind of stabilize your hips, your low back, but they can also create a lot of excessive tension. So we want to make sure that this can be kind of our massage practice for those. I'm going to have you come onto the back with both knees bent, feet a little wider than shoulder width. You're going to curl that sternum, that breastbone, that hard bone in the middle of your chest. You're going to curl that sternum down to the hips, and you have a hoop in your arms, long and low over your hips. We're going to swing that hoop towards one another to your right. As we come up and over onto that right bony nub of the hip, you'll notice both hips are stacked right on top of one another, and you're lying on that right arm. We take a breath into the floor, and exhaling as we curl that sternum. Hoop is long and low. As we come through over to the other side, to your left side, that left bony nub of the hip, and you're lying on that left arm. We can rock that back and forth on that bony nub. You'll feel it like a knuckle in the floor in the side of your hip. We breathe into it. And exhaling as we curl back through center. Hoop is long and low as we swing towards one another. And we come over to the right bony nub of the hip, just rocking that back and forth. And we come back through. One more time over to your left as we swing that hoop through. We breathe into that left side of the body. And exhaling as we curl back towards one another over to your right. Now, for this, I want you to notice, we're going to curl that sternum. We're going to come back just a little bit until we almost come back to center, that center sacrum I think of as our back, right? So we're going to come back just a little bit so we're on kind of a diagonal. And you'll notice it might be a little painful. It might feel like you're giving yourself a big massage of those butt muscles, of those glutes into the floor. And I want you to rock them back and forth just a little bit. Keep a little scoop of your pelvic floor just to help you stabilize that low back and feel safe. Just let it rock back and forth just a little bit. Try to soften your seat. Find that pelvic floor pulling up and in. And then we're going to take it away towards the left. And I want you to just rock through that tissue just a little bit so you can really start to feel it get compressed into that floor. And you can feel that it starts to really mash that tissue out. Kind of let it release, let you find that pelvic floor connection a little deeper. We'll come over onto that left side of the body. You're going to take an inhale into the floor. And then exhale, curling your sternum, mash through the butt. Think soft butt, little scoop of pelvic floor as we swing over towards one another to the right, mashing the butt again until you come up and over onto the bony nub of the hip. We breathe into it. Notice your shoulders might want to start spreading a little bit, so just let the shoulders kind of yawn open into the floor nice and easy. We breathe into it. And exhaling, we curl from that sternum. Soft mashing that butt through. Little scoop of pelvic floor to center. We take that hoop away from one another to your left as we come through. Just rocking that back and forth a little bit, letting the left shoulder yawn open on the floor. Breathing into that floor and exhaling as we curl that sternum back to center towards one another for one last time, mashing through that butt. Take your time, mash into the shoulders a bit. We take a big breath into that right side of the body. And exhale as we curl that sternum through, long and low with that hoop, and we take it over to the left. As we mash through the left seat, on the way to that bony nub of the hip, we breathe into the floor. And exhale, mashing that left butt back to center. We'll take a little tuck of the chin to lower the head to the floor. We'll have one leg long, other leg long, and we're just going to feel that. And you'll notice that your glutes, those big butt muscles, start to really spread, and you feel that bony pad in the center of your pelvis between your hips. That's your sacrum. It's shaped much like a palm of your hand. So if I put that on me, you'll notice the end of my middle finger, that's really where my tailbone is, and that my sacrum is basically right around where the palm of my hand is. So you're going to come right onto that back body, and you'll feel that bony pad support you in the floor. So eventually that will become our fully long leg, our fully supine mashing drill, our side lying mashing drill. Then we're going to mash on the stomach to really mash out the shoulders on both sides. And then we stitch them all together into full rolling. That's not something that we'll do today, but that's how we progress this in the Monkey Body Therapeutic Movement Mastery Program to allow us to really become our own massage therapists, chiropractors, and ultimately core conditioners. Because the other bonus of working on 360 is that when you hit your musculature in 360 degrees against gravity, when you find that arbitrary center point, coming up in things like teaser or boat pose in yoga are no problem, because you've strengthened yourself in 360 degrees, not just in 1 degree, in one specific line. So now, in order to help work deeper into the lines of the hips and the shoulders, we're going to go into what I call the spiral stretches. This is where we're going to use our strap. So you're just going to make sure that strap is still, I have a very long one hanging from a door about 15 feet away. So let's say your strap is coming from here. You're just going to take it, you're going to hold it like a rope, okay? And for this, we're going to use, we're going to have our 90-90 with strap. This is a hip flexor opener, front of the hips. And for this, you can also use a little pillow under the knee when you come to kneeling, if it just helps feel a little more comfortable in the ground. I'm on carpet, so it's pretty good now, but if you're on a hardwood floor, you can sort of, if you're rolling or if you're working on a mat, you can roll up that mat, put it under the knee, or just find a pillow from the couch or something, okay? So we're just gonna have now, we're gonna take a knee, and I want you to find that back ball of foot. If we're mirroring one another, you have your right knee on the ground. You're going to have your back ball of foot in the ground, and I want you to just pin that back ball of foot, and notice that the knee can slide forward and backwards a little bit. So you're going to try to flex that foot and let the knee slide back as far as you can, and then we're going to come up to our 90-90, meaning a 90-degree bend to front, 90-degree bend in back, roughly. So in order to be completely squared off, we want to make sure our pubic bone, our sternum, and our nose are facing dead on to that anchor point of the strap. We're going to hold the strap at about chest to solar plexus height, somewhere around here in the body, and soft elbows. We're just going to you can take your right hand, and you're just going to curl your pubic bone up and in. You can think about it as a tuck of the tail, but I want us to bring our awareness more to your front body for this, because often when we cue a tuck of the tail, it comes with a lot of gripping in the seat, in the glutes, and we've just worked so much to let those release. We don't need them to really come back online too much. They're going to do a little bit of work, but not too much. So we're going to curl that pubic bone up and in. And maintaining that curl, you're going to feel a big stretch in the front of that right hip. Now, we inhale as we start to lower ourselves back, just maintaining that curl of pubic bone, and we breathe into that nice big stretch in that right hip. 2, 3, and exhaling as we come back home. Maintaining that curl of pubic bone the whole time as we breathe into the stretch, letting ourselves fall back a few inches, and exhaling as we come back home. And inhaling into it, deep curl of that pubic bone. Now we add a little scoop of pelvic floor, and exhaling as we come back home. We'll do a couple more as we inhale into it. 2, 3, and exhaling. We see how light we can make our hands as we curl that pubic bone, breathing back into the stretch. And exhaling. Then carefully we're going to transfer our weight forward. If we're mirroring each other, that would be to your left ball of foot. You're going to pull up to standing, both feet together. And then when you feel safe, everything's stable, we can drop the strap and we'll give it a little walk around. And I want you to just notice here your relationship with the floor, how your foot is sort of striking the floor, how you can feel that sort of release in the front of your right hip, all the way down to what I notice is that my ball of my foot, my front of my right foot, just kind of, it more easily kind of rests and kind of grabs the earth. So just feeling your contact with the ground. I often feel a lot of relief just getting the front of this hip open. So now we're going to come down onto our left knee. So we come kneeling on that left knee, hands come down. I'm sort of still lightly holding my strap just so I don't have to go fishing for it again. And we're just going to ground that back ball of foot, your left ball of foot, and you're just going to slide that knee forward and backwards a little bit, feeling that ball of foot grounded into the floor. You're going to slide it back all the way so you're in a deep flex, a dorsiflexion of that back foot. And we'll come to upright, and you'll notice it's a really strong stretch already in the front of that left hip. So now making sure that we're all squared off here, my pubic bone, my sternum, my nose, my foot is in front of my belly button. I'm just tight on that midline, facing my anchor point. My hands are around that chest to solar plexus height. And then with the left fingertips, you're just going to curl that area in with the pubic bone. You can also think that tuck a tail, but just remember, soft butt, little scoop of pelvic floor. So curling that pubic bone up and in, we really feel a nice stretch in the front of that left hip already. Then we breathe into it as we start to fall back a few inches, maintaining that curl of pubic bone. We really feel that deep stretch. And exhaling as we come back home. And we'll inhale, curling that pubic bone up and in. Big breath into the front of that left hip. And exhaling. You'll notice the hands, the lighter the hands, the more you have to support in that back ball of foot, keeping that deep curl of pubic bone. Big breath. And exhaling. We'll do 2 more as we inhale into it. Breathing that hip open and exhaling. And last one as we inhale into it. Deep curl of pubic bone the whole time. And exhaling as we come back home. We'll come forward onto that right ball of foot. Then we pull up to standing, feet together carefully. And when we feel safe, secure, upright, we'll drop that strap. We give it a walk around again. And now we notice our relationship with the floor. We start to feel, I feel that the front of my left hip, as that opens, that now that left ball of foot can drop deeper into the floor. I'm obviously mirroring you. So this really helps, this front body sacrum line, this hip flexor line really helps the front of our body to just kind of feel like it can sort of fall open and that we have better contact with that front of the foot. Now, we're going to take this to our back body sacrum line. And this is where we really get to see how we complete this notion of 360, where, you know, maybe we have sort of this portion of the circle in the hip flexor line that we just did. Now in this, we're going to start to get the side of the leg, the outside, the middle, and the inside hamstrings all the way to the inner thigh and groin. And the way that we work in terms of our hip flexors, these muscles that help the hip to bend forward like this, this bony nub of the hip that we just rolled over, our greater trochanter, is mirrored by it's on the outside of our femur. The inside of our femur at the groin, there's a lesser trochanter. There's a little bony nub on the inside. And that's where your largest hip flexor inserts. So we make sure that we're stretching the front, the side, all the way around the back, all the way to the inside again. So we really do complete that 360 trajectory and really help to decompress the entire hip. Okay? So you're going to use your strap again here. This time we're going to take the strap, remember, squaring off to just facing dead on to that anchor point. So pubic bone, sternum, nose, straight to your anchor point of your strap, wherever that may be. And we're going to have hands around solar plexus height again, so around this area of the body. You're going to swing your butt back until you feel a hamstring stretch. And in this hamstring stretch, you're then going to push through the gas pedal, the ball of your foot. You're going to push through that to unweight the heels. So the heels are feather light touching. Feet are about shoulder width apart to begin this first version. So just so you see this on a little diagonal, I swing back. My feet are shoulder width apart roughly. And I'm then ready to begin my standing pancake. So feeling that hamstring stretch, weight in the ball of the foot, light heels both, where you're going to swing your butt towards me to your right. And notice that you're going to want to drop into your right heel. Instead, I want you to still have a light right heel and make sure the left heel doesn't lift off the ground. So they stay feather light touching. You'll feel a deep stretch in the side, in the calves, up the side of the leg, all the way into the back of the pelvis to this SI joint. And we'll come back through center. We swing over to your left as we breathe into the stretch. 2, 3, and exhaling back to center. And inhaling as we swing the butt over to the right, making sure that right heel stays light, left heel stays lightly touching. Exhaling back through center, little scoop of pelvic floor to stabilize as we inhale, swinging over to your left now. 2, 3, and exhaling back to center. And one more time over to your right. 2, 3, and exhaling back to center. And last time to your left. 2, 3, and exhaling back to center. We'll heel toe back into hip width apart. We take a soft bend to the knees, and we come up to standing carefully. We'll then drop that strap. We give it a little walk around. And I want you to notice as we start to open up that back line, that's where we really get to feel our heels will feel a little more planted into the ground. So it's really important, again, to just notice that connection with the floor, because you'll notice it's almost like you've been pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. The fronts of your hips are tight, the backs and sides of your hips are tight, everything can yield. And as you stretch that out, you'll notice that you really feel like you have more of a dialogue, a safe kind of support from the floor itself. So now we'll take the strap again for the second position of the standing pancake spiral stretch. So for this, it's going to be the same setup, same level of the arms. This time the legs are just going to be, instead of shoulder width apart, we're going to have a little wider than shoulder width. I think of this as my A-frame in the second position. So whatever a little wider than shoulder width means to you comfortably in your body, we're going to then take that strap at solar plexus level. We swing the butt back until we feel a hamstring stretch. And then we're going to push through the gas pedal to unweight the heels slightly. So this strap the whole time is just really serving for us to hang back and support the low back so we don't feel like we have to stand up with it. Okay? Now we're just going to swing the butt towards one another to your right. You're going to notice light right heel, so really pushing through that right gas pedal. You'll feel a big stretch in the back and the side of that right leg. and that left heel still remains in contact. It doesn't lift up and off. So we remain feather light heels the whole time. We swing through center, and then inhaling as we swing to the left. 2, 3, exhale, little scoop of pelvic floor through center. Inhaling as we swing to the right. 2, 3, and exhaling through center, and inhaling as you swing to your left. 2, 3, and exhaling, and inhaling it. 2, 3, and exhaling. One more time, and we inhale. This is just to give you a little view of what's happening from that bird's eye over my head view. So just noticing that as we shift side to side, the one rule really is that you never drop into either heel. They just feather light touch, and then that causes the hips to turn, and to turn our sacrum sternum to spiral that body left, right. When we're ready to come out of that, we're going to come back to hip width apart. We bend the knees and we come up to standing. We give that a little walk around. So we just notice a deeper and deeper connection into that back of the leg, opening, dropping those heels deeper. I sort of feel as though someone's below the ground, they're pulling my heels down, and it just, as a byproduct, kind of forces me a little more upright, kind of softly, just feeling like I'm rising in my body. Now, we're going to go to the last position of this. I want you to be very careful because we're going to take a wide stance, whatever that means to you. So we were in our A-frame, wider than shoulder width before. Now we'll take a wide stance. This is where we start to complete that 360 trajectory around the whole entire hip, and we start to get to the inner thigh and groin area. So for this, you're going to have that wide stance set up, squared off, looking straight to your anchor point, and you're going to swing back until you feel that stretch in the back of the leg and the hamstrings. Then we're going to push through the gas pedal to unweight the heels, and we feel that we're pulling on the strap. You notice elbows are where you can see them. You just sort of have that nice support there. That's helping to support your low back. And then you're going to feel this as your butt swings to the right towards me. You're going to feel it as a push off from your left ball of foot. You're going to feel it rolls your left hip forward, and it moves you over to the right. And you'll notice, again, not dropping into that right heel, not lifting the left heel. If you stay into those balls of the feet, you'll notice that it starts to give you an inner thigh stretch on that left side and groin. And then we'll exhale back to center. And then we inhale, pushing off that right ball of foot. Feel it roll that right hip forward. Getting that right inner thigh groin, we breathe into it. And exhale, a little scoop of pelvic floor as we come back through center. Inhaling as you push off of the left ball of foot. We roll that left hip forward. We breathe into the stretch, left inner thigh groin. And exhaling back to center. Inhaling as the right foot pushes off. And we open up that right inner thigh groin. Exhaling to center. We'll do one more time as we push off that left ball of foot. Turning towards one another a bit. We breathe into it. And exhaling back to center. Last time as we push off that right ball of foot. Right hip rolls forward. Light in both heels. We don't drop into the left. We don't lift the right. We breathe into it. And exhaling back to center. We heel toe, back to hip width apart. Then we carefully bend the knees. We come up to standing. And then we take a little walk around. We notice how this feels in the body. This is what has allowed us now. We've gone through that hip flexor line with our 90-90 stretch that we did initially, that first one. Then we go through the 3 levels of that standing pancake stretch of that back body sacrum line, I call it, that goes all the way to the inner thigh groin. So we've really decompressed the femur in 360. So now that we've decompressed the hips, we're able to now jump into the shoulder girdle. I never started the shoulder girdle because I find that it's dependent on the pelvis, the shoulders are dependent on the hips. So now let's take it to the floor. we're going to do the same choreography actually that we did for the first mashing drill, that mermaid mashing drill. We're going to do a seated mermaid stretch with the strap. So remember how with our mermaid mashing drill we had feet wider than shoulder width, and we curl that sternum as we bring it up and over to the bony nub of the hip, and we curl that sternum, we come through center, we bring it over to the other side, to the other bony nub of the hip. Breathing into it, and then exhaling as we come back to center. We're going to do the exact same thing, this time just sitting up with a strap in hand. So you're going to take your strap. You want to make sure that your strap can be at generally about a 45-degree angle. So if it's much lower for you, you're going to be too close to the door, because you're actually going to notice your body's going to incrementally start to locomote towards your anchor point as you do this exercise. So we back up as far as we can to the end of that strap. Any excess you can throw over your shoulder in the case that you're using a very, very long strap like me. And we're just going to have the arms overhead for this. Just going to make sure my mic doesn't get too interfered with all this strap work. So now feet are a little wider than shoulder width. My arms are in a soft hoop up overhead, right? We're then going to just pull those shoulders back. You're going to lift your chest, breathe in, and then exhale. I want you to collapse that chest, collapse the sternum, and hang into that hoop. And you're going to feel that you're on that center sacrum, that same palm-shaped bony pad of the pelvis. You're going to come back onto that. And that's your bowl. That's sort of like a balance point in the body. It's what becomes teasers, boat poses, rolling like a ball in Pilates, lots of things. You can balance on your sacrum, no problem. So we soften that chest, we hang in the sacrum, and then we're going to turn the heart towards one another to your right. As your knees fall, we're going to mash through the butt and go all the way over to that bony nub of the hip. The same choreography as we did it before in the mashing drill, except this time with the hands lightly holding the strap as a rope, not in the loops in the case of me, but just as a rope. Easier to do with the sheet. You're just going to collapse and soften and hang into that hammock, noticing that you're grounded into that bony nub and that you get this nice crescent shape, just really hanging into what is actually your muscle and fascia, your myofascial hammock of your own body. We take a breath into that. And exhale, curling that sternum, hang back in the strap, let it support you. So you're light in the feet. As we come round to the other side, turning away from one another to your left, as we mash the butt all the way through to the bony nub of that left hip, breathing into the stretch. And exhaling as we curl that sternum, hanging back in the hoop, in the hammock, as we mash through to the right bony nub of the hip. And exhaling as we come back through center, hanging into that hammock. You might notice the need to choke up on the strap a little bit as you locomote forward. Breathing into that left bony nub of the hip, and we come back through center. Now you're going to have right hand takes the strap, left hand on the heart as we start to roll through, hanging into that hammock, breathing into the stretch. Exhaling as we curl that sternum, we mash the butt all the way through to center sacrum, left hand chokes up, and we roll through to that left bony nub of the hip. We breathe into it. And exhaling as we curl that sternum, choking up with the right hand, as we mash through to that right bony nub of the hip, really feeling this whole stretch happen all the way up and over to that upper arm bone. And exhaling as we curl that sternum back. Last time, as the left hand chokes up, right hand on the heart. We take it up and over, really hanging into that left bony nub of the hip. Taking an inhale, yawning, softening that heart to hang into that hammock, really feeling that stretch connect all the way down through your base from the shoulder. We take another inhale and then exhaling as we soften back to center in the hammock. We'll just cross the legs to come out of it. And we're just going to feel that for a second. I give some easy circles with the shoulders. And then carefully however you like to come up to standing, we're just going to give that a little walk around. And we're just going to feel it in the body. We're just going to give it a chance to shake out, get some circles, just noticing the space you might feel in your shoulders. The reason why we won't go into a front body sternum, the front of chest opening, is because I noticed that this back line, a colleague of mine, brilliant colleague for hypermobile people down in Florida, says, Marcia Pereto, she says, what you elongate, you activate. So by opening up this back line, this back hammock, which on us is so often, it's so closed off because we're always taught shoulders back and down all the time, that this is the only position that's available to us posturally. Because we don't open up that back body, those fibers really never get to glide. They get kind of inactive and sort of weak and tight. This allows them to stretch open to that end range, really pulling that whole back hammock taut, and then they almost snap back. They activate, and you'll notice when you walk around with this that your chest feels probably a little more open than it did before, even though we were softened into this hammock. So that is where I usually, in sort of an introductory, as we're getting acquainted with this work, that's usually where I'll end it with the spiral stretches with strap. And then what typically we would do is go on to a little bit of the archetypal postures where we start to work deeper in connecting the feet into the hips, into the shoulders. But for right now, we'll call that a day, and we'll go back from whence we came. So this method is set up like a palindrome. We go through from fetal position on the ground like a baby. We come through to side on our stomach, to seated, to quadruped crawling, to kneeling, to standing. We have to go back through that pattern to go back to sort of baby positions to end the work in order to feel safe, in order to integrate all these kind of deep stretches that we've found in our body. So we're going to come onto the ground, and we're just going to end with that simple rocking exercise. And the rocking exercise, when we get later in the method, when we start to work this process through together, you'll understand that this rocking exercise of knee to chest, each hand gets a knee, this is a fundamental position of safety in our bodies. And it's one of the earliest positions that we've known. So you can always come back to this during the work. If ever you question, does my low back feel a little tight? Do I need to kind of massage things out a little more? You can always safely come back to this position. And we always end the work in this position. So for our rocking, one more time, we're just going to have each hand gets a knee. And you're just going to imagine that the legs are on those railroad tracks. So I'm going to have you push your left knee down and away, and you're going to rock to your right. And then we're just going to soften here. We'll take an inhale into that right kidney, and then exhaling as that right knee pushes down, the left knee falls in. We come over onto that left low back kidney, that left side of body. Take a big inhale into the floor. And exhaling as that left knee pushes away, right knee pulls up and in. We take a big breath into that right body. And exhaling as right knee pushes away, left knee pulls in and up. We take a big breath into that left body. One more set as we push away the left knee. Right knee falls in, we breathe in. And exhaling. As the right knee pushes us to center, we'll have one foot down, other foot down, one leg long, other leg long. And I just want you to feel the floor here. I want you to notice that not only do you feel more spread in the glutes and you feel that sacrum, that bony pad between the hips, you feel that really present in the ground, but now you also feel that your shoulder blades sort of spread like butter out east-west, and that there's just more shoulder resting on the floor, more surface area, more contact with the floor. We take a couple breaths here. Soft chin, soft chest. Just let the water drain out through the toes, through the fingertips. One more breath as we breathe into it. And exhaling. Just letting that chin collapse, that chest collapse. Water drains out through the fingers and the toes. Carefully, we'll roll off onto the side and up to seated. And I'd like to thank you for going on this little journey of spinal, hip, shoulder decompression. This again is an introductory series for the Monkey Body Therapeutic Movement Mastery Program. These are the initial exercises that we'll use to just start to dip our toe, make sure that we feel safe in the whole process, because that's really paramount to any sort of affecting any sort of shift and healing in the body, is that you have to make sure that you feel safe, in every single step that's presented. Something that's been very important to me, and all of this very selfishly was built for my body. I created this work so that I wouldn't need to be at the whim of every massage therapist, chiropractor, physical therapist. I've been able to rehab myself from many injuries in all sorts of different parts of my body, through my feet, sciatica. I've had shoulder issues. I've had neck problems because my body came with a sort of an interesting genetic twist on birth. From birth, which was that I'm hypermobile. I can dislocate everything, basically. So I had to learn how to not only stretch, but strengthen simultaneously in 360 degrees every major joint of my body. And then I found with clients, with people that I've worked with in a rehabilitative capacity, I found that it's helped them immensely, because this maintenance method that is really essential for me ends up being such a useful tool for anyone who's seeking a path to regulating all of their muscle and fascial, their myofascial chains, along with maintaining the sort of your structural integrity, a proper balanced sequencing of your bony structure, of your skeleton. So again, I thank you for this. I look forward to our call together, and I absolutely encourage any questions you have about this work, or any comments, what you've noticed in your own body, that will prove extremely valuable for our entering into this work together. So thank you, and look forward to meeting you.